to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a horror film from 2006. That movie is Final Destination 3. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, after sitting through the first two Final Destination movies, I'm not really caring for this series. I just want to make one thing perfectly clear. Almost everything about these movies are fine. I'm talking the acting has been fine, the special effects have been good. The one thing that the series continues to fumble on is the writing. And at this point, I'm not even sure if we're going to get anything decent out of this. I mean, I am certainly happy that the kills between the first film and the second film actually got better. Because the first film's kills were kind of forced. The second one, they were at least decent. I don't know if this one's going to be any good at all. I have no earthly clue. I kind of hope so, because then it'll give me a little bit of hope for the next two. But the only way, guys, I'm going to find out if this thing is any good at all is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Final Destination 3. Shit, I was real close. Guys, I really thought I figured out exactly when this film's obligatory premonition was going to kick in. I was off by about 2 minutes. That, guys, is how formulaic these movies are. I actually was almost able to time to the second. Again, off by about 2 minutes, exactly when our main character was going to get their vision of everybody dying on this fucking coaster. I certainly hope at the very least that our kills are as creative as what we saw in the fucking Premonition, because some of that stuff was actually pretty cool. Well, our first two kills were officially shit. Would have been nice if the film didn't telegraph every last thing so painfully. It's like, oh my god, that was awful. I certainly hope that the other kills are better than that. You'd think killing two people in tanning beds would have been interesting. No. No. That was fucking awful. Well, I did ask for the next kills to be decent. That one was fucking awesome. And also the scummiest character to have fucking survived that coaster crash is dead. Like, yes, please. I really have to see that fan blade in his fucking head. Come on. Come on, man. Close up on it. I want to make sure that this scumbag is... Yes! Oh, that is fucking pleasant. Oh, that's even better. You know, guys, as long as they were building up that fucking kill, that payoff was shit. No, guys, seriously, they have spent like the better part of 5 minutes setting up that fucking kill. I was hoping for something a little bit more graphic, gruesome, perhaps. You don't build up for 5 minutes and then have the kill last all of 4 seconds, rather. No. That was fucking good. God. And, you know, the previous kills before that, like the 2 previous ones before that, were really good. Granted, the one before that was kind of forced, but I still kind of liked it. My God, guys, you know, this whole thing would probably be even better if the characters here, if I didn't want to see all of them die so fucking badly. If not every single one of these characters were so horrifically ugly on the inside that I would want to see them die. Perhaps maybe if any of them were likable in any fucking way, I could maybe care about what's happening to them. But no, I am rooting for death to take all of them, because none of them have shown me a reason to fucking give a shit. Well, guys, that was Final Destination 3. And this cover of Love Train sounds fucking hideous. God, shut up. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, just give me a minute. I'm going to touch on the positives first, before I dive into what's going to wind up being the main chunk of this video. Let's touch on the positives, shall we? Our acting is fairly decent from almost the entire cast. The only two people who did not try in the slightest are the two actresses who play the vapid, airheaded bimbos who die in the tanning beds. The fact that they are the first ones to fucking go, I'm happy as hell. Because that means that the few minutes that we had to deal with them was just a few minutes. It's not like everybody else. If any other member of the cast had turned in as shitty a showing as those two talentless hacks did, then this movie would probably have been a much more painful experience. Alright, so our acting is fairly decent. Our special effects, while not as good as what was in Final Destination 2, are still decent. And really, guys, the big reason why the special effects are not quite as good is because when Final Destination 3 was in theaters, it was marketed as a 3D film. So naturally, it has that idiotic where they've got a ton of shots specifically put in so that way shit's able to go out at the viewer. And because of that, when you watch it in 2D, it looks kind of stupid, and the special effects used to actually make the stuff come out to the viewer, or come out at the viewer when they're wearing the stupid glasses and shit. It doesn't look as good when you're watching it in 2D. It actually does look ridiculously shit. So I'm willing to give them at least a little bit of a pass, because I don't know if it was the filmmaker's intention or if the studio forced them to shoehorn all of this 3D bullshit in there. But that is exactly the problem, is that it had that 3D gimmick tacked on, and so naturally the special effects are going to take a slight hit. Now, I will say that all of that really ties in more to the... Now, that ties more into the CG than it does anything else. Our fucking gore... and this actually is still a step up in terms of gore compared to what was in the second film, and it is done very, very well. Our practical effects are done very well. Our vehicle stunts are fucking awesome. All right, this, guys, that right there is something I never thought I'd talk about in this series, was how the myriad of vehicle stunts were. Well, there's actually not a myriad. There's maybe like 2, maybe 3 vehicle stunts all told, but the ones that are seen in here, especially the one that winds up with a character having his brain, cut out of his skull by the fan inside of a fucking engine block. That whole sequence was cool. All right, it totally was. Our lighting is good. Our camera work here was fine. Our sound mix was good. Our score is fine. I was going to say that the soundtrack was good, and then that horrendous cover of Love Train started playing, and I've got to dock a few points on that one. So really, what is the problem with this film? Well, it's the same problem that has befallen the other 2 Final Destination films I've seen. The writing. You see, guys, by the time you get up to the 3rd movie in a franchise, and you've been setting up and you have been establishing rules, you cannot continue to add shit by the time you get to the 3rd film. By the 3rd film, stuff is supposed to be set in fucking stone, alright? For instance, they tried to change things up in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. When that proved to be kind of a failure, because Nightmare 2 was kind of shit, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 officially locked in the rules as to how Freddy works, what Freddy does, and it works fine. Trancers was even starting to kind of get things locked in until, well, Trancers 4 came in and undid all that shit. But I'm not talking about the Trancers films. Thank fuck for that, I'm not talking about the Trancers films. But no. This film is still continuing to add shit in. So we still have the whole somebody has a vision and they do something in order to try to change what happens in the vision, which winds up only saving a small number of people. And now Death, being the vengeful douchebag entity that it is, needs to take out each and every one of those people in the order that they would have died. That is still in there. The whole, if your fucking life is saved, then you get put to the end of the fucking line and Death will just get to you later. That is still in there. But now they've added a whole new fucking wrinkle, and that is that even though you're not supposed to fuck around with death's plan, and that you're not supposed to screw with destiny, in case you do, death is going to totally drop hints as if it were the Riddler to fucking Batman as to what the hell is going to happen to you. What I mean by that is, our main character was taking photos for the high school yearbook. And when she was doing all this digging about, photos and death, she noticed that the last photo taken of all these different people and places and things all dropped hints as to what was going to be the fate of these people, these places, these things. So she started digging through all the photos she took at this fucking carnival and started figuring out exactly how each person is going to die, because apparently, yes, Death is a huge fan of the fucking Riddler and wants to put the most blitheringly obvious clues out there so that way you can try to stop that death from happening, even though you weren't supposed to stop the first set of deaths in the first place. Whole thing is fucking stupid. And this whole thing about the photos. Guys, the writing is entirely predicated on these stupid photos, which kind of takes a whole lot of the suspense out, okay? Because the previous films, it was just, we think that Death is going after people in the order that they would have died. The second film is like, well, Death is going backwards to try to fix some weird ripple in time or some such stupid bullshit. Now, we are back to in the order that they would have died horse shit, and now we have hints. We have these photos that completely telegraph exactly how the people are going to fucking die, but of course it doesn't stop the deaths from, happening. Well, of course, a couple of them have to be saved, otherwise there's no point in bringing up the whole, if you get saved, then you get pushed to the end of the line horse shit. Now, while I'm on that subject, the very fact that I was almost able to pinpoint exactly when the fucking Premonition started, and I was only off by a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops, because I thought that her vision hit when she stopped at the fucking turnstile, because she saw that sign that said nobody is fucking allowed to leave when they go past the fucking turnstile. I kind of thought then she would have raised a huge scene there, and a bunch of them would have been, escorted off. No. We go ahead about a minute or 2 minutes. When she gets put into the roller coaster car, and then she has the vision when somebody walks up and tries to stop her from snapping another fucking photo, because you're not supposed to have loose items on the fucking coaster. So yeah, I was off by 2 minutes, but I should not have been able to have pinpointed it that fucking close. A movie should not be that goddamned formulaic, man. It shouldn't be. Ever. But yet, that is exactly what happened here, and that was just awful. And as for our deaths, a couple of the deaths were certainly cool. And they show that you can do a Rube fucking Goldberg, you can do a Rube Goldberg kill, akin to the last kill we see in the first film, and actually do it well. I'm talking, of course, about the kill in the fucking in the weight room, where it's a very quick bing, 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 dead. It was a really nice thing. It was this nice little chain that leads to our victim dying, and they die in a spectacular fashion, which I really kind of liked. And it even had a fake out in there, which I thought was sort of cool, because it actually was like bing, 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 bing. You think that they die. Nope, nothing, and then one more movement, boom, done. It was great. It was done perfectly. So we have that death, and I'm going to set that one as the high mark, alright? And then we have the tanning bed death, where just literally, it was just this complete set of, like, it was just this total, like, bumblefuck thing where it's like, oh, well, he isn't able to get into the building and save them because the doors are all locked, because he used a tube of tanning cream to keep one door propped open while he sat outside and was talking on the phone. The girls locked the front door so that way nobody came in and looked at them tanning. They brought a drink into the room even though they weren't told, and the drink fucking sweat because they turned the temperature up in the room even though they weren't fucking supposed to, and shit like pressed down on them because of all this coincidence. Guys, the fucking tanning bed death is almost as stupid as the sentient power line from the first film. Alright, that is how stupid that fucking kill was. Which is a shame, because it has some of the finest special effects in the entire fucking movie. Alright, it really does. You know, and when they aren't doing that, when they aren't running through mountains of idiotic bullshit motherfucking coincidence to lead to 2 people dying, we then have the nail gun kill, where there's literally 5 minutes of fucking build-up. 5 minutes of build-up and talking and theories and plans and this and this and this and this and yada yada yada. All so that way somebody can get knocked backwards into a fucking nail gun and have the nail gun just randomly put about 7 or 8 nails into their fucking skull, which was over in about 30 seconds. It was not a well-written kill. They could have easily done it and have the actual setup take about 30 seconds and then give us the 5-second kill. It would have been fine. I would have had no problem with that. But the fact that we get to watch as a forklift is sitting there and spinning its fucking tires because it's in a fucking puddle of coolant and it has no fucking traction and it stays like that for 60 fucking seconds, that's wrong. That absolutely obliterates the pacing of this movie, and this movie's pacing was kind of shit to begin with, but that honestly is like the fucking worst. Now, I want to mention something else, because there was one thing mentioned in this movie that makes me completely question a lot of shit, besides the fact that if death is dropping hints in the photographs, then that means that you weren't destined to die in the coaster. You were destined to get off the fucking coaster, and death is telling you when you are going to die, which then means that this is literally no motherfucking connection to the first 2 films, based totally on how the rules are supposed to be set out and all this other fun shit. But how did these people know that death was going to be coming after them? Because one of the fucking survivors was looking up previous similar things and ran into an article on Flight 180, which was the flight in the first film. This article, he never says where the fuck he found this article, I should mention, but this fucking article apparently told him that every single one of these survivors died in the order that they would have died if they were still on the plane, except for ones who had their lives saved, who then got pushed to the back of the line. What fucking article is going to say that? What fucking website is going to post that? Or rather, what credible, non-stupid website is going to post something like that and actually try to pass it off as fucking news or pass it off as something relevant, intelligent, or worth reading? There is no website on earth which is that fucking dumb. And you would think that if you read that on one site, you would then have gone to other websites to actually make sure that everything is, that to make sure that all of this matches up and that all of it gels. We don't have that here. Instead, this dumb motherfucker apparently went to one fucking web page, read about 4 fucking sentences, and that is their entire motivation. And what do you know? It does just happen to tie into the first film. How the hell they would know about this whole order of fucking death and all of this other shit makes no sense. Unless Clear Rivers was talking to the press, but Clear Rivers wouldn't have talked to the press because she was too fucking paranoid about dying, which is why she spent all that time in the nut house in the second fucking film. None of this makes a lick of sense, guys. That one fucking bit about how, oh, well, I mean, I was just reading up on 180, and look at all of this stuff, and all of that is going to happen to us. That whole bit of speech, that whole, 25 seconds worth of worthless fucking dialogue absolutely cripples everything because it has no reason to be there. There is no logical sense for it to be there at all. It literally kills everything here. It kills it almost, well, no, actually, it actually was still not as bad as the whole fucking photo thing, but, guys, the writing here was awful. Now, you could have probably done this thing You could have maybe made it, you know, something that was its own separate property that didn't fucking tie into this. And you could have worked in the whole photo thing, and you could have had like a whole new film that didn't fucking work in the idiotic rules here. You wouldn't have to worry about the, oh, you know, and you save them and then they get pushed to the back of the line. No. You just basically have a bunch of people who somehow, some way bumble off of a fucking roller coaster, and then the coaster crashes, and then someone has photos. And apparently fate is showing you exactly how you are going to die now. You could have done that, and you could have skipped past all of the worthless trappings that affix it to this fucking franchise, and it would have been probably a little bit better. Probably also if you got someone who actually knew how to fucking write, someone who could actually cobble a goddamn story together that would have actually fucking worked. All of that would have made this thing infinitely better, but none of that happened because this thing is forcefully tied into the Final Destination series, so naturally you have to pay fucking lip service to all the fucking rules and all the other and all the other insipid horse shit that got tied in here thanks to the previous two films. The writing is the one spot in this movie where it absolutely falls to fucking pieces, and just like the previous two, the writing is so bad it actually makes the movie borderline unwatchable. Not only, guys, is the writing bad in terms of just how all of the death shit works. Our characters, every fucking character is shallow, worthless, and unfucking likable. Our kills, holy shit. Well, I've already talked about how they telegraphed a bunch of the fucking kills. Now, do you guys remember I complained in my review of the first film because they had talked about how, because they had set up this whole thing about you listen to John Denver, you're gonna fucking die. They actually had something similar here, but I'm going to give them credit. They actually worked in this little hint system into every fucking kill, and it actually felt decent. It was not a song though. It was you would have wind coming from somewhere. It would be windy inside of a fucking subway car, even though there should be no wind in a fucking fully closed off moving subway car. So you'd have that. Lights are either flickering or completely going out. Those were your two signs that someone somewhere is going to fucking die, and that you should probably consult the photos and figure out who the hell is next. At least they actually were able to stick with the fucking pattern going all the way in. So I am going to give them credit there. At least it's better than what was in the first movie. However, the writing overall in the first movie was better than this. Guys, this has by far the worst writing out of this entire franchise so far. I still have to watch 4 and 5. God damn it, I really don't want to, but what the fuck, I guess I really should finish them out. Oh god, so guys, am I able to recommend Final Destination 3? If you liked the previous two, then sure. If you honestly can look past the horrendous fucking writing and you're in it just solely for the kills, and you don't want to find the kill fucking reel on YouTube that someone I'm going to assume have put up because they did it for the first two films, and if you really want to try to watch this for more than just the kills, then by all means go ahead, check it out. As for me, no. Hell no. Guys, I have always said this, when it comes to movies, writing is your strongest fucking thing. You need to have strong writing. You need to, or correction, you don't even have to have strong writing. You have to have at least an interesting story. This movie doesn't even have that. You have to have at least the basic building blocks of a decent story, and this movie couldn't even give us that. And part of those building blocks is likable, interesting characters. We are given a bunch of vapid, shallow wastes, and you're more than happy to watch every single one of them fucking die. That is a huge problem. The fact that this film is following the exact same dull formula that the previous two films had, instead of trying to venture out past, oh, looky photos. Oh my god. Guys, the writing here is what absolutely destroys this film. If there was a Final Destination movie that was written by somebody who actually knew what the fuck they were doing, I can almost guarantee you the movie would be amazing. So far, I've yet to see that. I cannot recommend this movie, but once more, I do have to say, if you've seen the previous two, and you liked the previous two, then go right ahead and check it out, because it is quite literally more of the same. Now, Final Destination 3 came off the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in was my friend Stu. You can find his YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/thevodkahaze. Stu, I thank you. I've said this twice now this month, but I was really curious about this franchise. I was really curious if the Final Destination movies were any good at all. So far, they really haven't been. However, though, I would not have known that if you hadn't have sent in the first 4, and for that, dude, I fucking thank you. You're absolutely awesome. Please, guys, swing on over to his channel once more. That is youtube.com/user/thevodkahaze. As for me, you know, I just got a Troma Blu-ray in the mail. It's a movie I really, really enjoy, and that is Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. I'm going to go and watch that, because it's probably been about 3 years since I last watched that movie, and god damn it, I do remember that movie being awesome. So I'm going to go and watch that. I'm going to pretend I never fucking watched this, and with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.